Hey everyone, have you ever looked at a simple scrape and thought, what actually happened there? Well, turns out every single injury tells a story. It's like a physical record of force and motion. And today, we're going to learn how to read those stories by breaking down the science behind mechanical injuries.
Right? Think about it for a sec. Is it just a bit of damaged skin? Or is it a clue? A clue that can tell you about the surface, the direction, the force, and even the object that was involved. So yeah, let's dive in and see what that story really is. Okay, so first things first, what are we even talking about here? A mechanical injury is, at its simplest, just physical harm that happens when some kind of external force gets applied to the body. It's pretty much the most fundamental type of injury out there.
Now, our source material breaks this down for us really nicely. Basically, all mechanical injuries fall into one of four main buckets. You've got your blunt force injuries. Think impacts, like a fall that gives you a scrape, or even a fracture. Then there are sharp injuries, from things that slice, like an incised wound from a knife. After that, you have pointed injuries, which are way deeper than they are wide, like a stab wound. And finally, in a class all its own, you've got firearm injuries.
For this explainer, we're really going to zero in on one specific type of blunt force injury, the good old abrasion. So why this one? Well, because it's the single most common injury we see. It's the one we've all had, a million times, even if we didn't really think about what it was called.
So what exactly is an abrasion? Well, it's any injury caused by scraping or rubbing. And the really important thing to know, as you can kind of see from this little diagram, is that it only affects the epidermis. That's just that very top layer of your skin. It doesn't actually go any deeper into the dermis.
And because it's so superficial, just on that top layer, abrasions have some really distinct features. Since it's only the epidermis, there's usually no bleeding. And here's the good news, they almost always heal up without leaving a scar. The one big exception noted here is a corneal abrasion. That's a scratch on your eye, which, yeah, that's a whole different story.
Okay, but here's where it gets fun. Not all scrapes are created equal. We can actually break them down into different types. Let's kick things off with the two most common ones, which are all about friction. First up, we've got the scratch. It's exactly what it sounds like, right? A thin, straight line. This happens when something with a sharp point, like say the tip of a pen or even just a fingernail, gets dragged across your skin. Super simple, super straightforward. Next up is the graze. Now this one is much wider, much broader than a scratch. It's what happens when your skin slides against a rough, wide surface. Just think about skidding on pavement for a second.
And this slide just perfectly nails it with terms we've all heard. Gravel rash, brush burn, road rash. We know these words, especially when you hear about a road traffic accident or an RTA. They all paint a perfect picture of a graze, that wide area of scraped skin you get from friction.
All right, let's move on to the next couple of types, because this is where the story gets even more interesting. These next two abrasions are absolutely fascinating. They're not just about friction. They tell a whole story about the relationship between force and time.
Now check this out. What's so cool about this slide is the direct comparison. On one side, you've got a pressure abrasion that's low force but applied over a really long time. And on the other side, an impact abrasion that's super high force but for a very short amount of time. Totally different stories.
Let's take a closer look at the pressure abrasion. You can see the force is low, but the time is high. Think about a ligature mark, or something way more common, like that spot on your heel from a new shoe that's too tight. That constant, gentle pressure just rubs away at the epidermis and leaves an actual imprint of the object behind.
And now, we just completely flip that whole equation for the impact abrasion. Here, the force is massive, but the time is incredibly short. This is a collision. A great example is a tire mark, or a fascial abrasion, where the pattern of an object literally gets stamped onto the skin in a split second. High-force event.
So here's the big takeaway. By just looking at a simple abrasion, we can actually read four very different stories. A scratch tells you a sharp point was dragged. A graze tells you about a slide on a rough surface. A pressure abrasion tells a story of long, sustained contact. And an impact abrasion, well, that tells the story of a sudden, powerful collision.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, if the most common, most superficial injury can hold this much information about exactly what happened, just imagine what deeper wounds can tell us. For people in fields like forensics or medicine, learning how to read these stories is absolutely everything. So what other stories do you think are out there, just waiting to be read?